The House GOP a short time ago passed a bill in an attempt to avert a government shutdown. The legislation would slightly decrease spending overall, but would increase spending for the military by $6 billion. The bill now goes to the Senate, and it depends on Democrats to move it past a filibuster and to passage before Friday's deadline. And the vote was close, 217 to 213, but the victory is a big one for Speaker Mike Johnson, who in similar votes has had to depend on support from Democrats to avert a shutdown. Joining us now is Republican Congresswoman Victoria Spartz from Indiana to give us the inside scoop on just how it all went down. Representative Spartz, thank you so much for joining us. We know that Speaker Johnson relied on support from Republicans who had never voted in favor of a continuing resolution. How were they convinced this time around?
Well, listen, I think that is reality on the ground. Ultimately, we have new administration that needs some time and work with Congress. And actually, this bill was bipartisan. We had one Democrat vote for us. Maybe we'll have more because a lot of these issues should be bipartisan. And we should truly fund it properly, our government, but has been neglected for such a long time. And President tries to figure out how we can fund proper programs and how we can go after fraud and abuse. And I think all Americans are very supportive of that, but we need some time. Definitely, we cannot do it. He doesn't even have everyone confirmed yet in his administration.
We know the bill faces uncertainty in the Senate. If it doesn't pass there, then there will be a shutdown late Friday. You'll need bipartisan support. What's your pitch to the other side of the aisle in order to get them on board?
Well, listen, they should like it. We still continue Democrat spending, so they should be pretty happy. This was Nancy Pelosi spending what Democrats wanted, But I think, honestly, we should try to deal with spending on bipartisan basis, because if we don't very soon, we will have not money to fund properly, programs and benefits that we promised to the people. And we need to keep our promises. It shouldn't be a partisan issue anymore. It became. And I think Democrats need to stop playing politics and actually do that, but it will be very hypocritical for them to actually shut down government on level of spending that they actually legislated themselves.
As some Democrats withheld support because of concerns over the legality of DOJ's cuts to the federal workforce. You're holding a few town halls at the end of the month. Your constituents online for now have expressed concerns about Elon Musk and DOJ. What do you plan to say to them?
Well, listen, I think, the job of Congress is to be able to properly fund the government and come after fraud and abuse. But administrations can help us to also identify that. And I think Elon is using some advanced techniques to be able to show us where the bad things that we can properly fund, things that we need to fund. And I think Congress needs to take into consideration. But ultimately, it has to go through Congress. And Congress needs to start doing its job. And I think from some ways, he puts pressure, Elon put pressure even on Republicans to govern, because we have been not very good on fiscal issue. Both parties were pretty bad. And I think we have a mandate right now as Republicans, and we cannot complain anymore. We control all of the branches, and we have to deliver, and it's going to be tough. But I think it's good what he's doing and helping us, but that's our job, and we need to start doing our job.
I'm curious your thoughts with regard, since you did emigrate from Ukraine in 2000. You've said only President Trump can give the Ukrainian people a chance to win the war. That being the possibility here, should Ukraine give up territory seized by Russia in order to bring an end to the conflict?
Well, listen, it's going to be a very difficult conversation now, because unfortunately Russia is not losing the war. If things what I will push President Biden to do in 2022 and push President Zelensky to do in 2022 would have happened, it would have been a different situation. But we didn't have proper strategy. We didn't properly deal with Russia. Slow walk the aid wasn't really preventative. And President Zelensky didn't, get his military ready and didn't help them. That's a fault of his too. So we are now where we are. So negotiation with Russia are much tougher because they're not losing. It's a different conversation. But we cannot continue having slush fund and giving money with no strategy to corrupt governments. So we need to have something, and you have a discussion. But at least we need to have a ceasefire and have a conversation. But it's not going to be very easy. But I think President Trump is the only person who can put pressure on Putin. And I think we'll see what is going to happen. But it's a very rough situation over there.
But do you think that he's putting pressure on Putin?
Well, listen, I think he's putting pressure for him to get to the table, too. Putin is right now not losing the war. He's advancing. He was advancing for the last year. And Ukrainians are taking huge losses because Zelensky didn't get ready. He didn't even do the draft. I think President Biden even complained about that, rightly so. He was not preparing his own military, and he didn't work properly to have production, and to support his own military. So, I mean, there is some fault, we can say, West and Europe, but ultimately, if you fight the war, you need to put your whole country into military mode, and he didn't do it for political reasons. And now we are where we are. So he has to put pressure on Putin too to get to the table too. Don't get me wrong, Putin has challenges, and it has a high cost for Russia too. But Russia has much more advantage with the amount of people and even bad weapons than Ukraine. And I think right now Ukraine is in disadvantaged situation.
Representative Spartz, we thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.